Well, that seems like an absolutely good place to start.
ESL Board Games
Proudly presents Superwise ABC Letter Game. Yay! By University Games. For ages 3 to 7, although you can push it a little bit to 8 after that kids start to lose interest, and I also have had a student as young as 2 be able to read and write. It's for early beginners, although Wonder Red's questions are actually quite challenging even for a native speaker. Try not to look at the board. Now it teaches your ABCs, your abacus, phonics, and reading, although reading, to be honest, is only just a little bit. This game has a few pros, your ABCs and your abacus. It really helps reinforce them. And the spinner is super fun for really young children, especially if they're 2, 3, 4, even 5 a little bit. They'll absolutely love playing with it. Now, the cons of the spinner, I mean, it's awesome, but the little kids, especially 2 and 3, will be trying to break the arms up all the time. So you're going to spend a lot of time trying to stop them from breaking it. You're like, no, 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 no. Unfortunately, a real con is the replayability. Now, I wish the replayability was high, but unfortunately, the vast majority of students only ask to play it maybe once or twice. Occasionally, maybe 1 in 8, 1 in 9 students asks to play for it again and again and again, but I really wish they'd ask for it more, and I end up having to push it on my students far too often than I would like. Would I buy it again? Yes, but I'd drop it in a heartbeat if I could find something that students actually wanted to play again and again and again. If you know of a game that my students or any other teacher that's watching this video would love to play again and again and again, and that teaches your ABCs and abacus and really reinforces it, please leave it in the comments and I'll try and get around to checking it out at some point in time. For parents, though, I'd highly recommend it, especially if your child's between the ages of 2 and 3 and maybe 4. That wraps up the review of Superwise ABC Letter Game. Now, for those who are binge watching, please tap on the next video in your upper right. And if I ever do find a replacement for this game, then please tap on the video to the upper left. That could be a long time from now. Now, for those who would like a deeper dive from the ESL perspective, please stick around. And as always, smash like, ring the bell, hug a tree, as it really helps the algorithm.
Now let's dive in.
Now, to teach this, the first thing you do is, chunk. What? What's this? Every time when you do a game that involves phonics, until your students or your child has this absolutely down pat, always review A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Next time, won't you sing with me? Also, you can also review A, apple. And then also, I love this particular book because it has flaps. Everybody loves flaps. And your kid will do it, but be careful. Some of the younger children might destroy it and might get a little bent, but expect that. For those interested in the esoteric aspects of teaching students in Japan, Korea, and China, please stick around. Okay, first, when you're teaching, pronunciation is so important. You absolutely have to get it down. If your students don't get it down, it's pretty much set for life unless they're willing to put in, without exaggeration, anywhere between 10,000 to 70,000 times of practicing a single sound, and that can take years. Okay, first sound, A. All three, Korea, Japan, China, all three, their A's aren't perfect. They more do like an A, which is, hey, what's up, A, like in Canada. If you have trouble teaching, really stretch your mouth like you're smiling. And for Chinese students, you want to say something like, way, as they answer the phone, really over-exaggerate it. So just for A and then really open your mouth. Use your hand and really open it out. Your mouth should be making a triangle. Okay, B, The Chinese and Japanese have absolutely no problem with this sound, but the Koreans often have a problem, particularly because their B and their P they don't actually really have in Korea. They've got this non-aspirated. I'll just say what they call for fantuan or onigiri. They call it a kimbap, and it's ba, and it's not a b, not a p, but it's really hard for them. First, you want to get a piece of paper and you will be demonstrating it to your students first and then getting them to practice. Okay, here we go. So, b and p. B, not practically nothing. P, b, p. And you want to also get them, if you know anything that comes to your mind for rhymes, to get them to practice, to compare and contrast with big pig, bun, pun. So just practice things like that with them. Okay, moving on to C. Now, for your Chinese students, in general, they shouldn't have a problem with C, unless they're in like southern Taiwan, they speak Taiyu, and maybe in some provinces of China, you'll have to correct that with them. Okay, but for Korea and Japan, students often have a problem. Some absolutely no problem, but some you'll just have such a hard time. What's going to happen is they're going to say C or she. It's going to be C, she, and they might say one or the other, and most of the time it's she. So you're going to compare and contrast. You're going to say si, and if they're Japanese, si, umi, shi, josei. Si, umi, shi, josei. And you're just going to practice that again and again. Or Chinese, I think it's si, hai tuan. It's been 10 years since I spoke Chinese. And shi, nu ren. So you'll be practicing that a lot. Okay, so compare and contrast there. Also, they tend to want to say always, the Koreans, especially at the ends of sounds, they always do chi at the end. Okay, in general, Japanese and Koreans, no problems with D. Occasionally, I encounter someone in Taiwan. It's usually just if they only spoke Taiyu, they'd have a major problem with D and also with T. In these cases, we have to practice, I'm not joking, 10 to 70,000 times. Sometimes their pronunciation, unfortunately, is stuck for life unless they're incredibly, incredibly diligent at practicing it. The best bet there is you're going to use a mirror and you'll be just showing your tongue, and lightly practice. It's really, really difficult. Some students have an incredibly hard time with that one. Okay, k is no problem, d is no problem. Okay, E, Korea, China, Japan, no problem. Usually not a problem, although in Japan, they like to say A, and you got to practice. Get your hands will do that in video 3, but you'll be doing your hands in your mouth and a phonics board. You'll be going it, and that's when you practice the et. And you also, if they have trouble, and the Japanese students doing A, you just do A, and then mix it up, a, until they really know there's a difference there. Okay, F in general, the Koreans had no trouble. The odd student did, but in general, no problem. The Japanese, occasionally, they want to default to an H. You'll have to practice. Again, whip out a piece of paper, and you'll be doing H and F, and you'll be practicing that a lot with them. Okay, moving on to the next one. G, in general, no problem. G, no problem. H, you really want to over-exaggerate the H. And watch out for, in Korea, they might do H, and occasionally Japan, H, but just H. And really over-exaggerate the H. Shouldn't be a problem. Okay, it. Korea, China, Japan, they don't have an it sound. So they're usually going to say I or E. We also use this for E in English. So you want to, again, do the it, You can also do E, it, practicing that many, many times. Okay, next one, J, in general, no problems. In general. K, no problems. Okay, with L, oh boy. In China, most people in China don't have a problem with this. They do differentiate it with hanlang, that's cold, and hanri, that's hot. So the vast majority of people in China, unless they live in a province where they don't really either use the L or the R sound, they won't have an issue. Now, for Koreans and Japanese, this is a major problem. You will be spending a lot of time practicing this. Okay, for practicing the L's, the easiest way is just get a mirror, and you're just going to make sure that, and you over-exaggerate with your tongue. You're always touching your tongue to your teeth, and it'll be la 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 la, and get them to do that. As long as their tongue is touching their teeth, they have a mirror, and they can feel it. Make sure they're doing that every single time. There shouldn't be an issue. Again, you'll have to practice hundreds to thousands of times. The younger and earlier you can catch a student, the better. If they're really old and the pronunciation's set for life, again, at least 10,000 to 70,000 times, maybe more, of diligent practice, at least 100 times per day. Okay. Now, R's are a little more difficult to teach because you can't easily show your tongue. Okay, now for the R sound, you're going to use a mirror, and you got to show your tongue curled and get the student to look at their tongue curled. They have to see that. L, you'll be doing la 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 la, and tell them to really notice their tongue feeling. They touch their teeth, and the R, they're going to have to practice in the mirror. Now, that's just for L and R. You also have your R. The L isn't a problem. Again, just touching L, you're touching your teeth. For the R, the easiest way is you're going to bare your teeth so you can see your teeth, and then you're just going to go, and they can see your teeth is together. And when you do that, it's impossible for them to say the L sound. And you're going to practice L, R, L, R, L, R. Now, if they have some trouble with some diphthongs are like 2 letters together, like B or B and R and Br. I want you to get your teeth scraping together. So it's going to make a sound like that. So you'll be doing bruh, and really get their teeth scraping. Say you want to see their teeth and get them to practice while they're scraping their teeth. You don't need to do that to make that sound, but as long as they're scraping their teeth for a few hundred, few thousand, 10,000 times, they cannot do this sound here. They'll only do the br, the cr, and so on. Now, for the L, you'll be doing bl, and again, they have to notice the feeling there. So you'll be spending a lot of time on this. Also, write out a sheet of paper with the common ones, BL, so bl, cl, fl, gl, pl, sl. Those are your common diphthongs with L. Now, for your R diphthongs, you'll want to be practicing br, cr, dr, fr, gr, pl, and tr. Then you also want to compare and contrast between the R again and your L's. So you want to be doing bl, br, cl, cr. Next one, dr, doesn't have a DL sound, and then you're going to do fl, fr, gl, gr. After that, what's the next one? Then you're going to do pl, pr, and then the last one will be tr. It doesn't have a DL sound there. There's also WR, but whatever, it's just an R sound. Moving on, the next one will be S. Okay, the Japanese and Koreans have absolutely no issue with the S. The Chinese, though, there's a major problem between English and Chinese here is that we really over-aspirate our S. We do like a, or they're like a, it's so light. It's so light. So you have to practice with them. You're going to have to get a piece of paper again, and you'll be doing like the Chinese, it won't move. It'll be just like it's practically nothing. And then the English, you could really overemphasize it. It's probably really loud on the mic there, but you'll have to get a piece of paper if they have trouble there. Now, in Korea, I never really noticed a problem there, but I was only in Korea for a year, so I can't really say. In China, there's absolutely no problem with the sound. It's just how they say I'm hungry. Mama, it's just, kids say it all the time. Absolutely no issue. In Japan, you're going to want to get your students to hold their tummy. So you'll be doing like, and their belly should go up, and they should feel that, Just that'll help. You'll have to practice quite a few times. Also, I'll do again in episode 3, it, with a phonics board until they get that down. Okay, with V, you'll be comparing and contrasting with your B's. This can be an issue for some students. You're going to be really wiggling your lips here. You'll be doing that. Have fun with them. And really, really get it so their lips are really loose and they're just having fun. Because next you're going to move here and you got to show your top teeth and you get your bottom lip to move back and forth. You don't want to have it static because you want to show your bottom lip moving back and forth so that they can see that, oh, wow, there is a difference. He's showing his teeth, his top teeth, and the teacher's showing his bottom lip there. And then you'd be like, moving it side to side. If they still have a problem there, sometimes with really young students, break out a mirror, show your lips, and then practice again. The student might have issues with that when they're really young, but the older ones won't, for sure. And then do the... Usually most students within one single lesson will have no trouble with V's. Some will take 3, some even up to maybe 7 lessons, providing that they haven't been saying the incorrect B sound. Like in Japan, I'm at 7, 11. It's painful to my ears. Life's minor problems. Okay, moving on to the next one. W is no problem. X is no problem. Y is no problem. These, Korea and Japan, absolutely no issues. Japan, they like to say Z, like in Canada. I've been out of Canada for so long, I usually just say Z now. Now, with the Chinese, it's the same thing as the S. Again, we over-aspirate, and it took me probably 2 years to say their S correctly, and close to 3 years to say their Z. We really over-aspirated. Sorry, that's English. It's so powerful, and theirs is like it's so light. It's just so far. Okay, now we're wrapping up with this book, but there are still a couple other sounds you need to teach them. The next one will be the TH sounds. Now for this, you want a stack of paper. Now, once you have your stack of paper in hand, you're either going to hold it on your hand like this, or you're going to put it on the table. Okay, if you hold it in your hand, you're going to do the first TH sound, which is the, this, that, these, those. So I'm going to try and demonstrate, but if I can't see it in the camera, I'll do my best. No, it's just too far away. Okay, the next one, though, your students will have a lot of fun, and they'll really see there's a difference in them. Okay, now here we go. So the next one will be, now the next TH sound is th, as in think, thank, thunk. Your students will have a lot of fun with that. Okay, so you get a big stack of paper, and this one, you probably put it on the table, or in your hand is also okay, and then you demonstrate first. So we'll do, here we go. I'll have lots of fun doing that. Okay, one more time. They'll have a lot of fun doing that. So definitely have fun with your students doing that. Okay, I'm going to clean up, and then we'll move on to one other sound I want to practice with you. Okay, back in a bit. Now, the last song I want to talk about, or not song, sound, I want to talk about is, this is for native speakers of English. This is, I want you to, your TS sound, as in tsunami and tsubaki. If you have trouble making this sound, you actually don't have any trouble at all. You've said this sound literally millions of times before. It's just it's, or in my case, it's, book. It's, that's it. You just take the it at the start of it's and drop it. So it's, and you're done. I was fighting with myself for so long to say tsunami correctly, and then one day I just had the epiphany while teaching. Oh, it's just the it sound and drop the it. The reason I mention that to you is try to understand your students will have the same issues. The Chinese, for forgetting the final sounds of just about every word you teach them. The Koreans and somewhat the Japanese will always want to say lunchi, churchy. If it's a CH or SH, the Koreans will want to add the I sound. be patient with your students. Understand that their language has certain strengths, certain weaknesses. Same with English, such as in the case of its. English, we're blessed with a lot of consonant sounds. We've got more sounds in most languages, not all. There's some languages with a lot more vowels than English, although we do have a good range of consonants. Okay, finally, moving on to teach this. Okay, and I'll set it up and see you there. In Superwise ABC letter game, the youngest player goes first. Now, you're going to give them the spinner if they're a really young player, basically sometimes 5, but occasionally if you're playing with a 3-year-old or 4-year-old, which is quite common, you got to be really careful. This thing is pretty strong. It hasn't been snapped yet, but I've stopped many students. They'll try and rip it off, so you got to be really careful. Also, do your best. It'll be good for your students to practice their motor skills. Flicking it, it's easy for an adult, but for a little kid, it's really hard. So if they have trouble, just do it with their finger. Some kids just like to spin, and which is fine. Let them have some fun, but just make sure they don't break your spinner or you'll be gluing it on, or you'll be having some issues there. Okay, now, the other thing you'll have to teach them that in most games, the highest is the best, but in Superwise ABC letter game, you want the low number. And for some students, I think this is where it partly kills the replayability, is they just want to race around, but if they race around the board and they get 4, 4, 4, and one more 4, the game is over very quickly and they'll have the lowest points. Now, to get points, students must spin the spinner. So I'll do it here. And what did I get? I got a 1, which is awesome. And then you're going to move your player. Well, his name's Wyatt. My name's Wyatt. His superhero name's Super Y, but I just regular Wyatt. Okay, so you're going to go there. And he got Wonder Red. Now, the Wonder Red questions are really, really hard. First, we'll discuss about the hardness. Now, alpha pigs are always very, very easy. They'll be like, point to the uppercase letter. You're just going to say, you can teach them uppercase later on, but you're just going to say it's a little W. Where's the big W? And you're going to help them out a little bit. Now, if they have trouble, also bring out this phonics book again, and you're going to briefly show them the W, and they're looking for that, and then you're going to close the book and then help them. And then maybe you'll circle around the area, and if they still have trouble, you show it again and maybe get their finger to trace the W until finally, they got it, okay? And this really helps build confidence that they found it. I got it. Okay, so that's the alpha pig. They're the easiest. Now, the next one is Princess Presto, and she's just a little bit harder. This will be car, and they have to say the k sound, and they got to find the k sound. Now, they point to C, excellent, but if they also point to K, it's also excellent. Just encourage a student either way. Now, the first 2 are very easy, Princess Presto and Alpha Pig. For some students at the very earliest level of English, you're going to skip the Super Y and the Wonder Red questions, and every time they get a Super Y, you're going to jump down to Alpha Pig, and every time they get a Wonder Red, you're going to do a Princess Presto. And to even make it easier with a brand new student, you can just do Alpha Pig. I've done that just once or twice. It's more fun if they have a little bit of variety. Okay, the Super Y, there's 2 levels of difficulty with the Super Y. One, there's a picture, you got a dog, and then they got to find the word on the board. Where's the dog? It's hiding over here. So you can also sound a dog, and then the student will find it. This is about upper beginner, early intermediate, so there's a big jump here between your students. You might want to revisit this game about a year or 2 later after you've been teaching them how to read. Again, it depends on the family. Some families don't want you to teach them reading. Now, Wonder Reds are actually very challenging. If you don't look at the board, they're actually quite difficult. It says sun rhymes with run. Say 3 words that rhyme with sun and run, and then you got to say sun, run. Now, when I first played, I found this very challenging. Eventually, we got fun, and I won. Without looking at the board, though, it's actually quite difficult. Although you can help your students sound it out. Just do sun, run, and then point to a word. Just do fun. They'll probably know fun, and teach it to them that way. The game ends when the last player crosses the finish line. So Alpha Pig finishes up. Super Y spins, he crosses, and eventually Wonder Red crosses. At that point, everybody should count their cards together. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, and the player with the most cards at the end wins the game. Now, any other last notes? When your kids, again, when they're spinning, be extra careful so this doesn't get broken. Also, I usually do as a house rule, at least one free spin for the kids. And if it's on the line, give them the benefit of the doubt. And if they cheat a little bit and you kind of look the other way, it's okay. The whole goal is that they have fun and they're learning English at the same time. Okay, I hope you really enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Hi guys, I'd like to welcome you to my studio. Now, as you can see, everything has been packed up. This is a shared working spot. I'm usually here on Sundays. Now, I'm actually not here to talk to you about that. I'm here to talk to you about Super Y, as you know. Okay, now, come on. There we go. The corners. This game, unfortunately, if you get the Briar Patch version down there, the exterior box is the lowest quality, unfortunately, out of all my game collection. I highly, highly recommend it if you're a teacher. If you're a parent, don't worry about it. But if you're a teacher, highly recommend that you add a little extra cardstock here and glue it on that edge. Do that also on this edge, and also try to get a top board here, otherwise it'll collapse. I mean, I've had to tape this up. I also suggest you get some Gorilla tape, the clear stuff, and put a strip on here. Otherwise, it's just going to rip open. I mean, I've never had this problem with, not all my other boxes you'll see are practically pristine after like 6-8 years of use. But this one, I had to tape it up over here. It broke open. I also highly recommend that you get this particular book if you want, and cut the insert to be 4 1/4 inches wide or 10 3/4 centimeters wide. And at that, if you do that insert and you're going to have to jerry rig it like that, you can put everything under here, and then the ABC book when you go to teach is just like that. If you're a parent, don't even worry about it. But if you're a teacher, I highly, highly recommend it. Anyways, until the next episode, goodbye.